Long time no see, everybody. Haku here with my read-through for Chapter 5 of Magical Girl Raising Project or Mahou shoujo Ikusei Keikaku, ACES. This one's called Farewell My Friend, and it is the final chapter. So I think a lot of you have been keeping up with my updates on Twitter and on YouTube. I was sick for a long while, and then after being sick, I've been trying to catch up on everything. But I will be going back to the weekly videos for this on Tuesdays, hopefully, that's the plan. But I am running a bit late this week because, of course, I'm still trying to catch up on a ton of stuff that I missed. And all the new stuff coming in for the new anime season and all that. But yeah, there's just a ton going on the channel right now. And for these, I'm sorry, I recorded 2 videos before this, and I've been having trouble with my voice, so I hope my voice is fine throughout the entirety of this. But this chapter is 101 pages long, which is absolutely insane. So it's probably going to take me a great many videos worth to read this. Yeah, this chapter itself is probably going to take a while. So I'm just going to be doing the best I can. For right now, I have a ton of other videos I'm trying to catch up on, a ton of other videos I'm trying to do, so because of that, I'm going to try to keep these videos to like 20-30 minutes, and then maybe once we're all caught up on things, if I feel like, oh, I have a lot more time than I did before, then I can try to bump these up and maybe go like 45 minutes to an hour. But at least for right now, I'm going to be sticking to try to do like 20-30 minutes. So for this one, I'm going to try to get to page 15. That's my goal. There is a scene break there. So, yeah, I guess that's it. We got to jump back in after all this time and figure out what happens for the final chapter. I feel bad because I'm like, so many characters are still alive, and so I know so many of them are probably going to die. We had a lot of survival going on in the past arc or two, but even if we have a lot of survival going on, I guarantee you that there are going to be characters I like that end up dead. But I actually, too, going to discuss a bit since it has been a while. I feel like a difference with this and with, like, Joker's was Joker's, I felt just these extreme and instant connections to specific characters. And it was like almost all the characters. I was like, oh, they're really cool and unique in their own way, and I'm really connected to them as a character, and also the story was very good. With ACES, I feel like the story is very, very good. The story of ACES has been great so far. But a lot of the characters, it hasn't been one of those things where I'm connected to each and every character in their own way, like with Restart or Unmarked, or I guess like any arc. There are a lot of characters this arc that I don't feel as connected to. The story is incredibly, incredibly good, but it's like, with this is the most clear that there's been some sort of quote-unquote good guy characters that I am just absolutely invested in completely. Like the obvious, Deluge is a bit more grayscale than simply good. But characters like Sarami and Uluru and Snow White, who I am absolutely and completely invested in, and characters like Hamuel, who I'm like not as personally invested in because they haven't been written in a way as to be sort of a character you get as personally invested in. They're more of a villain, kind of like a classical minor villain, sort of a character that's an obstacle to the main characters rather than completely a main character themselves. And you can say that a lot about Dark Cutie's group as well in some aspects. But yeah, I'm interested to read, so let's go ahead and start with Chapter 5, Farewell My Friend. Oh god, this is bothering me already. We have Bluebell Candy to start us off. Oh gosh. And it's going to be so sad if, because of Deluge kind of fallen to the dark side a little bit here and there, if Bluebell's going to sacrifice themselves to sort of set Deluge back on the path of righteousness, so to speak. Oh, I am just... Or if Shadowgale or Flare or like Deluge, one of the characters we've known for a while, dies. Man, I'm going to be hurt in this chapter. I can feel it already. Either way, starting with Bluebell Candy. Bluebell Candy is a magical girl. For some reason, she continued to become a magical girl. However, she had no motivation. She had no ambition. She didn't even have a philosophy to live by. No principles, no assertiveness. She lacks self-esteem and self-confidence. Even her selection test mentor was worried about her. You know how many people would, er, you know how many people would give anything to be in your position right now? It's not that Bluebell was lazy or clumsy or incompetent. Far from it. It's not that Bluebell didn't like magical girls. She thought they were amazing things. Bluebell just didn't believe in herself. However, most people who had low self-esteem would be hard-pressed to actually work. Bluebell was a hard worker. She always performed her best at everything, hence why she passed her selection test. She didn't believe anything would come of her, but she always tried hard anyways, because everything she was doing was for the benefit of someone else, and that someone else would suffer if Bluebell didn't do her best. The determining factor of becoming a magical girl is your magical potential. The problem with a system like that is that people who might be perfect for becoming a magical girl might not be chosen because they just didn't have potential. The reverse can also be true. After Bluebell passed her selections, mostly due to her hard work, she had to reevaluate her position within the land of magic. Firstly, she can't exactly fight with the best veterans out there. Her magic wasn't even good for that kind of thing. Her hard-working nature eventually landed her a job in research and development, a desk job where she received some pretty good pay and did some good work. A 9-to-5 job, a sign of mediocrity. Nothing to really brag about, but it's also a job, so it's nothing to look down upon. It really was just that, an average job with average pay. Bluebell didn't really enjoy her job, but she didn't hate it. Normally most employees would look for a promotion, but Bluebell just focused on working hard. The fact that Bluebell always worked hard meant that eventually she was getting so many raises that her salary was comparable to the elite workers of the division. Yet, Bluebell had no ambition to rise up the ranks, which created the unique problem of having your average worker be paid a high-paying salary. Despite Bluebell being able to change literally any aspect of her life, her magic will always be the same no matter what. However, her hard-working nature eventually brought her in contact with several prominent members of the Land of Magic. They were all faces, all a blur, all working with Bluebell at some point or another. Her higher-up connections gave her an even more increased salary. How did it get this far? Bluebell didn't really remember. Most of it was just a haze. She couldn't even remember how she became a magical girl in the first place. Not that it mattered in the long run. Eventually, years passed, and Bluebell was then selected to the one job where she decided she'd take with some interest. Man-made magical girls. It seemed to pique her interest because it was different than her usual routine and normal jobs. Again, her hard-working nature made sure that the bosses above agreed that she was the best for the job. That's when she met Princess Deluge. That's where she learned of Princess Deluge's origins. Deluge was a lost soul, hurt, a shell of a girl. Based on what she said, it's clear that Deluge has lost everything. Her family, her friends, her normal life. And then Bluebell felt a spark. Magical girls are supposed to help people, right? This is what magical girls are supposed to do. Unlike other people and other magical girls like Deluge, Deluge was unique. Because she was man-made, not many in the Land of Magic liked her on sight. The Research and Development Division also just wants to research her, emotionally detached from Deluge, the person, which placed Bluebell in the unique position of being the only one capable of befriending Deluge. Suddenly faced with this kind of responsibility, the fact that a person's mental stability rests entirely on Bluebell's hands, she didn't feel like she was a worthless magical girl anymore. She felt like she had a purpose. Deluge was her answer. She was going to help her. That was the reason she became a magical girl. Everything in her life led up to this moment. She wants to help Princess Deluge. She wants to make Princess Deluge happy. She wants to heal Princess Deluge from her old shell. To that end, she was always there for Deluge, always ready to do whatever it is Deluge needed, always willing to talk with Deluge. If Deluge was sad or emotionless, then Bluebell would give her one of her candies. Some people confuse Bluebell's lack of motivation with Bluebell not wanting to be a magical girl. While she's wanted to quit before, this is untrue. Bluebell wants to be a magical girl. It's just that she doesn't have any motivation or ambition when doing so. Now she's found it. Whatever Deluge wanted, she'll give. Whatever Deluge asked for, she'll seek out. Sometimes Deluge would ask her for something difficult, something she didn't know if she really should do. It happened one day, and Bluebell didn't know if she should do it or not. But if it's for her, and if it really does help her like she claims, then Bluebell would just have to leverage her resources to get those things. It was hard for Bluebell to get the things Deluge wanted. She was just another employee of the Research and Development Division, but Bluebell's worked here long enough to know where her bosses hide passwords and keys to their secret labs. Afterward, she gave Deluge what she wanted, all the information she needed, all the research required, and then Deluge caused chaos with that knowledge. Did Deluge plan to use Bluebell from the start, or did Bluebell just give Deluge too much freedom and too little restraint? Either way, the Deluge she sees now is not the same Deluge she met before. She's no longer the lost shell of a child she once was. She's changed. Deluge has passed the point of no return. Does she realize this? Bluebell knows this as a fact, and this was all Bluebell's fault. Too lenient, too careless. But she wanted to do what's best for her. Bluebell had to stick by Deluge's side. If she's crossing over that edge, only Bluebell could hope to bring her back. Only Bluebell understood the trauma Deluge had gone through. Deluge had been deceived. Her whole life as a magical girl was a complete lie. Deluge's friends had been killed. The only people who understood and cared for her were gone. The only one left to bring her back from that is Bluebell, so Bluebell had to dive into the abyss with her. Without Bluebell, Deluge would be lost in a world of chaos. Bluebell was Deluge's only hope now, so she had to stay by her side, whether Deluge wants her to or not. She has to bring Deluge back. Now, Deluge was like a hunter. Deluge was like a rabid dog. She wasn't supposed to end up like this. Bluebell had to bring her back. Man, this is so well written. I am really into this right now. Magical girls are supposed to help people in distress, right? Well, Deluge is in need of help the most, and no other magical girl is willing to save her. That's why Bluebell has to save her. That was so good. I loved that. Man, we've had so many sections this arc that were just so well written. I love that. That was so good. But now we're at the beginning of page 6 with Princess Deluge. Deluge saw Shufflin run away. She ran faster than the Shufflin, fast enough that she managed to stab through the Shufflin before it could do anything. But then Shufflin transformed. It was no longer a Shufflin, but it was Tempest, Princess Tempest. Deluge was shocked. She instantly removed her trident from Tempest's body. Tempest grabbed her stomach, blood pouring out of the wound. She looked back at Deluge, her eyes filled with fear, sadness, confusion as she collapsed and died in front of her. A wave of Shufflins stampeded around Deluge. She looked around, and she saw a spade soldier going for her. Deluge was fast. Her reflexes had been trained. She easily overpowered the spade, but the spade kept fighting and fighting. If the spade wouldn't give up, neither would Deluge. She brought down her trident, and the spade tried with all her might to block it with her spear. Deluge struggled, trying to bring the trident hard on the spade, and for a split second the spade's body changed to a red magical girl, Princess Inferno, angrily guarding herself against Deluge's trident. Deluge was caught off guard, and that moment of weakness was just enough for Inferno to push away Deluge and rush toward her. She transformed back into a spade, pushing Deluge back and charging at her, spear at the ready. Deluge deflected the spear, and with a swift twirl, disarmed the spade before violently stabbing it in the chest. The spade held Deluge's trident, as she began coughing blood. But it wasn't a spade. She transformed back into Inferno. Princess Inferno's eyes were filled with hatred as she stared at Deluge, filled with betrayal. Deluge began sweating. She removed her trident from Inferno's body as she fell down toward the ground. A diamond tripped and fell. Deluge walked over to her. A heart quickly went in front of Deluge, protecting the diamond. Deluge didn't care how durable the heart was. She stabbed the heart in the chest, and she began to freeze the heart's veins from the inside, her face slowly beginning to become bluer and bluer. Hearts were trying hard to hide their pain, the heart was trying hard to hide their pain, but their internal organs were freezing and fracturing. She had blood coming out of her mouth, frozen chunks as well. Then the heart transformed. Princess Quake. No, Deluge removed her trident again. Quake fell on her knees looking up at Deluge. Her eyes were sad, and her tears were frozen as she collapsed and died from her wounds. Deluge closed her eyes and shook her head. When she opened it, she saw Heart's corpse. She went over to the diamond in the corner and raised her trident. The diamond was shivering and cowering in fear, and then the diamond became Prism Cherry. Her eyes screamed, "Save me." She didn't want to die. No, this isn't Cherry. Cherry was never a coward. Cherry came back when she could have escaped. Cherry came back. Cherry came back and fought the Shufflins. Prism Cherry was a hero, and she died a hero's death. She sacrificed herself to save Deluge. Man, I'm getting all teary-eyed and emotional just thinking about Prism Cherry again. This diamond was not Prism Cherry. Deluge pierced her trident through the diamond's heart, freezing her brain, making it solid, then shattering it, as the diamond twitched and fell lifelessly. "Deluge?" She heard a voice from behind. She turned around. No one was there. "What are you doing, Deluge?" More voices. "You need to stop. What are you doing? You're out of control. What have you become, Deluge?" The voices surrounded her. "What am I doing? What's going on?" Her breathing became heavy, and her vision became narrow. Her head was light, and everything was a daze. She looked around her, and she saw corpses, Shufflin corpses. When she first fought the Shufflin, whenever they restocked, their bodies would disappear. These ones didn't. Were these ones permanent? Deluge. Deluge looked back, spirit the ready, and saw Bluebell Candy. Not an illusion. Deluge had originally come out here to find Premium Sachiko, but when she saw the Shufflin army she went berserk. But now Bluebell Candy's shown up, and many of the Shufflins have retreated. "I told you not to follow me. It's too dangerous, Bluebell," said Deluge. "You're right, it is dangerous. You're endangering yourself," said Bluebell. "I can handle myself fine." No, you can't, Deluge. "I'm sorry, but you went too far." "Or did you do this?" "What? Are you messing with my head? You don't have the right to do that. You don't mess with my head and my emotions unless I give you permission," said Deluge. "Deluge, I'm sorry, but you're out of control. And you don't know me. I don't know what it is your magic can really do, but if it's making me slow in battle, stop. You don't know what I've been through, not really. I've only told you stories, but you weren't there. You have no right to mess with my emotions. I'm sorry, it's just, I didn't mean to. It's fine, but if you're going to get in my way again, you should go back home." Deluge looked away from Bluebell. She can't look into Bluebell. It pains her to see Bluebell's face. After having seen the pure elements, Bluebell being disappointed in her would be too much for Deluge. Deluge really did care about Bluebell. It's why it's best for Bluebell not to get involved at all. Where will she go? Where she'll go, Bluebell won't like it. Sometimes Deluge wished she didn't care about Bluebell, but the truth is, Deluge had grown close to her. So close that she didn't want Bluebell to end up like the pure elements. But, in a way, Deluge was glad that Bluebell was by her side. She was picked up by a demon wing. Bluebell also rode behind the demon. Both of them climbed aboard. Deluge remembered the recording she saw of the pure element's last moments. Princess Quake. "Hey, Tempest, look at me, okay? It's gonna be alright. Look at my face. Look at me. Tempest, don't worry. I'm not gonna let anything happen, okay? Quake, I'm scared. Quake, I don't want to die. Quake, off with her head. Quake, no please. Quake, don't. Stay strong, okay? Tempest, stay strong, okay?" Man, tearing up again. Quake was one of the best, one of my favorites. Man, all of this has made me tear up so much already. This chapter's really hitting me hard. Quake tried to comfort Tempest. She went before Tempest. Joker then decapitated her anyway. To add salt to the wound, Tempest was also taken. "Please, I'm sorry, I'll be a good girl. Please, I don't want to die." Off with her head. No, please, I'm sorry. Tempest cried and begged, but it fell on deaf ears. Joker mercilessly decapitated her as well. Princess Inferno. Kuyuki, you're the magical girl hunter, right? Akari, stay with me, you're not dying on me. Hunt down the bad guys, okay? Akari, no, not again, Akari. Prism Cherry. Sha, hang in there, I'm gonna give you more light. Come on, you bastards. That's why the Shufflins couldn't be forgiven. They showed no compassion, and anyone that showed compassion to them would be killed. Like Filaru. When everything was said and done, when everyone was done fighting, a lone Shufflin stopped Deluge and Filaru. Filaru decided to spare it, asking it to walk away. She'd let her guard down, and when the Shufflin attacked, she sacrificed herself to save Deluge. Kindness will only get you killed. Everyone who died, They died because they showed compassion to the enemy. Now's not the time for compassion. When everything was all over, when everyone is avenged, when everyone's finally at peace, only then will Deluge consider compassion once more. Only then will Deluge face any consequences her actions might have. Until then, she threw her compassion away. There was no room for it, not here, not now. Deluge remembered her old life. Namiaoki. When she was younger, her friend had been bullied. Deluge didn't bother trying to help her because she was afraid of being disliked by her other friends. People that became close to the bullied friend were shunned by the others. Deluge was someone that wanted friends, so much so that she didn't want to make anyone hate her. If only she threw that away, the need for attention. If only she focused on her bullied friend, maybe she wouldn't have moved away. Deluge shook her head. She couldn't think about that now. Bluebell watched Deluge with a worried expression. That's when Deluge felt something in her chest. Pain. Extreme pain. Alright. Deluge grasped her chest. She felt nauseous. She felt like her chest was tightening up, going to kill her. She began breathing heavily, coughing up small amounts of blood. Deluge, are you okay? What's going on? Asked Bluebell nervously. Medicine now. And she coughs even more. Bluebell took the medicine that Deluge always takes and gave it to her. Deluge ate the medicine and she felt a bit better. Her medicine intake had increased from normal. She was consuming thrice the amount of medicine as before. She can still fight. She has to keep her body up to fighting conditions. Until she finds Premium Sachiko. No contacts from the magical girls she used. Deluge decided to use the demon army to scout the city. She didn't want to rely on Fle's minions. She's going to find Sachiko one way or the other. But she was also going to hunt down every last Shufflin in existence. If the Shufflins disappeared, the Ask faction loses power. That's a win-win. If she sees a Shufflin, she'll kill her. That's why Deluge wants Bluebell to just go home. She doesn't belong in all this violence and chaos. Bluebell shouldn't be here. Not together with someone like Deluge. Bluebell was a nice, kind, caring person who was loyal to her friends like no other. What Deluge was about to do, Bluebell shouldn't be associated with her. Bluebell, you should really go home, said Deluge. I'm staying, Deluge. I don't think you understand. It's dangerous for you to be near me, said Deluge. I don't care. Thick and thin, I'm going to stand by your side. You're family, Deluge. Family sticks together, no matter what, said Bluebell. Deluge looked back, and who she saw wasn't Bluebell Candy. It was the figure of Prism Cherry. God, I'm trying so hard not to just cry so much that I can't read right now. God. Sorry. Ooh, getting really choked up. This is one of the most emotional I've gotten in one of the read-throughs. I've got your back, no matter what happens, okay? Said Cherry, smiling at Deluge. Deluge almost wanted to cry. That's why Cherry came back. She wanted to protect her. She wanted to protect what's left of her family. Cherry never betrayed them. Cherry wasn't a coward. She was someone brave. She was a hero. Deluge couldn't say no to her face. She nodded and looked back forward. It seemed like the demons had found something. The demons were surrounding the figure of a magical girl. Deluge felt rage built up, but it slowly turned to curiosity as she got a closer look at the magical girl. Should she descend? She had no choice. She descended she descended downward. Who's that? Asked Bluebell. Deluge didn't answer. Someone you know, Deluge? Asked Bluebell again. As she descended, Deluge saw the magical girl down there smiling calmly. The magical girl with the wheelchair, Fle. Man, that was incredible. Gosh. Oh man, it took so much multiple times not to break down and cry. That's one of the best so far. God, I love this series. Man, and just to think that I have so much more that I get to experience before I'm caught up. Man, I am struggling right now. That was so good. That was amazing. Both sections. Deluge's section and Bluebell section, I love both of them. That was so good. Jeez, I am distraught. I am emotional. Jeez. And especially bringing all the stuff back from the Pure Elements, who I loved so much, and Prism Cherry, who was one of my favorites of all time. God, that was so good. But yeah, either way, this is a monster long chapter, so this is going to take multiple parts. Part of that makes it seem like, oh, it's going to take him forever to finish. But another part of it is like, God, that means there's so much more content to come. God, I'm so excited to read more. Sorry again, though, that my voice was so crappy throughout all this. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Like if you did like the video, and comment down there too. Tell me what you thought of this first part of this chapter, what you thought of my thoughts and reaction to it. Subscribe for more Magical Girl Raising Project, much more on the channel. Follow on Twitter if you want. I can try to keep you updated there, stuff for the channel, or talk to you there. And if you want a link to our Discord server, just ask and I can give you a link to that. It's free and open for anyone. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, follow on Twitter, ask for a link to Discord, and we can talk there. Yeah, and follow on Twitter. I don't know if I totally messed up that outro. My brain's all over the place right this second. Jeez. Also, if you want to help support the channel on Patreon, patreon.com/Haku of the Tubes, or link is in the description. It will ensure that I can, or at least help ensure that I can continue on with what I'm doing. Oh man. Oh, this was so good. I'm going to end the video here. Thank you so much for watching again, and for sticking with me through the break I had to take for being sick and everything. Yeah, thank you so much, and I'll see you all next time.